I really do think Orlando could be the best city in America. Ambitious statement, I know, but at least give me to the end of the video to explain, and at the very least, you'll get some good information.
Orlando has long been known as the City Beautiful.
Orlando has come a very long way over the years. Some will say for better, others will say for worse. Now, full disclaimer, I haven't lived here my entire life. I moved here 7 years ago from Jamaica. However, I did visit when I was younger. Who remembers Wet n Wild? I remember going there. There's a plethora of things that have changed since that point, from amusement parks to new stores to new areas to how we even get around. But it all leads us to where we are right now, which I think is a good platform for us to be the best city in America. So let's take a look. When you look at the Orlando Metro, which is really a 4-county area, you got Lake, Orange, Osceola, and Seminole County, you kind of realize Orlando's pretty huge, 2.8 million people just about, and that saw a 9.4% increase from 2018 to 2023, ranking us just second in population growth for a metro in the entire country. We're fairly racially diverse, statistically speaking, and we are quite an educated set of people. And all that is good. I think that's good, and that's a great platform to build off of. But with growth comes problems, or really challenges to overcome. One being our economy, or rather how it's divided up. When you look at the top industry in Central Florida for job employment, you're talking about leisure and hospitality, and there's really no surprise there. Probably the first thing you think of when you think about Orlando is
Walt Disney World is a tribute to the philosophy and the life of Walter Elias Disney, and to the talents, the dedication, and the loyalty of the entire Disney organization.
Of the top 50 employers in Orlando right now, 11 of those companies fall under the category of leisure and hospitality, with our #1 employer being Walt Disney World, which employs just about 75,000 employees across the Central Florida area. Now, the thing with that is pay.
Disney, in essence, is the happiest place on earth if you do not work there. You have cast members crying in the break room because they can't afford food and they're eating ramen noodles and they don't know what to do. That's painful. And that's what we're seeing now.
And it doesn't just stop at leisure and hospitality. Take, for example, Nancy, who I recently had a conversation with on this channel. She recently moved to the Central Florida area, and here's what she had to say about our current job market.
Find a job here that has a livable wage, because let's just talk about Florida. Florida does not have a livable wage.
How do you feel about that? Yeah.
Florida does not have livable wages.
Say it louder.
And my northern people, my Boston people that are like, well, you don't have income or different taxes. Yeah, state income tax. And I said, yeah, that's fine. If you are a blue collar worker, I think the transition would be mind-blowing.
And so these conversations around increasing pay in these industries is something I'm a big fan of. And I also think if we want to be the best city in America, we need to invest in industries of the future and those with higher earning capacities. And so what does that look like? It looks like aviation, it looks like tech, it looks like medical. The second biggest employer in Orlando right now is Advent Health. What if we had more of that and more of the Lockheed Martins of the world in Orlando? We're already pulling multi-million-dollar defense contracts. Different companies are relocating here, so it's starting to happen. But I think if we want to be the best, that needs to almost become our dominant source in regards to our local economy. And so when you marry that with the backbone of Orlando, which is that leisure and hospitality, I mean, we are the theme park capital of the world. We got the convention centers, we got the preserves, the parks, we got the performing arts centers, we have the downtown districts. We just got named the best foodie city in America, the best city to host sporting events. We have a lot here in Orlando, and if we can marry that with a better supporting economy, I think we'll be in a fantastic spot to tackle what's next. There's absolutely no shortage online of people complaining about the infrastructure here in Orlando, and for good reason. I've only been here 7 years. I can't imagine if you've been here 15, 20, even 30 years or greater, and seeing what you see today, it might feel like you're living in an entirely different world. The raw reality is roads can't get built as fast as somebody choosing to book a flight and call Orlando home. And so the folks that are here are kind of stuck holding the bag until they do. And there's currently billions, and that's not an exaggeration, of road projects all across Central Florida. You'll see millions here, millions everywhere. And that's also a part of the problem because we rely too much on cars. I've really come to embrace the fact that public transit and pedestrian-friendly developments are gonna be key if Orlando wants to be the best city in America, and I think we can. There's this guy on social media that basically breaks down existing infrastructure and how they could have easily turned that into something more useful and more efficient for the residents, and I think a lot of that is needed for Orlando. And it seems, and I'm actually gonna wanna hear your thoughts on this, that the city wants this as well, but they're kind of saying at what cost? For example, Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings proposed a penny sales tax that was gonna be on for 20 years, increasing our sales tax in Orlando by 1 cent, which should have generated just about $600 million a year in revenue for that 20-year period. But the voters shot that down back in 2022. He's actually considering putting it back on the ballot for this year. My question to you is, do you think they really just don't have the funds, or is it currently being mismanaged based on what they currently have? Let me know in the comments. Either way, I think more attention and more effort should be placed on pedestrian safety and public transit. However, we are not all bad. We have seen some really cool projects be completed over the past couple of years. When you think of I-4 Ultimate or the Beltway most recently being completed. Also, we have the basics that are really what is gonna set us apart to be the best city in America. One, our airport, which just saw an over $3 billion investment in the expansion of Terminal C. We just got the Bright Line not too long ago, giving us connectivity to Miami in a different way. And so with that, we're able to connect with our Florida neighbors as well as the world, and the world with us. So as long as we can improve on our infrastructure in-house, I think we're well set up to be the best city in America, barring our next subject. Now, I will say, statistically speaking, Orlando is still largely affordable compared to the metros that are growing just as fast as us, and even faster, which would be Austin. Now, we're also seeing much more affordable prices here than the folks that are majorly moving into the area from California, New York, DC, and even in our own state when you consider Miami. Now, what could swing the pendulum to make real estate prices more affordable are two variables. One being inventory. We're currently right around 8,600 homes in Central Florida, which is right where we were pre-pandemic, between that 7,000 and 10,000 unit mark. But interest rates are kind of keeping that steady. People not wanting to leave their 4 or 5% to go ahead and take on what is currently a 7% or more interest rate market. The other piece is going to be just that, interest rates. If that comes down, that then increases the buying power, but also could cause a frenzy to where a lot of people are waiting on the sidelines and decide to jump back in. We have seen that interest rates are also scaring off the multifamily folks, where multifamily activity is currently at its lowest activity level since 2017 in Central Florida, and the amount of housing permits are down 10% from 2022 to 2023. All that being said, I think Orlando is so cool in the fact that we offer such a diverse real estate landscape. So many different areas give you so many different experiences. Living in Claremont is so much more different than living over in Lake Nona, and that's different from living near downtown or Winter Park, even down to the architecture of the homes, the amenities. It's cool in that way that because Orlando is such a large area, you get to kind of fit into your own part of the world, and that becomes your community. And within that bubble, there's just so much to do and to see. Now, of course, a big part of why I think Orlando could be the best city in America is its future and what's coming to the area. So let's dive into some of my favorite developments coming to Central Florida. Why not start at the heart of the city? There's a lot to come to downtown Orlando over the next couple years and also next couple decades, one of which is the reimagining to Lake Eola. That is going to be just such a more beautiful area with improvements in walkways, rest areas like you can see here, the iconic amphitheater giving more space and coverage with an LED canopy, the entire entrance to Lake Eola being transformed with new signage and water features, and just an improved experience traveling in and around that downtown Lake Eola corridor. Very iconic to Orlando, and that is set to see plenty refurbishments over the next 30 plus years at a total cost right around $31 million. The Orlando skyline is anticipated to shift up over the next couple years as well, with the long overwaited and overdue project of the Orlando Magic Sports and Entertainment District. This is set to include a 261 room full service hotel, 16,000 square feet of meeting and conference space, 273 residential units, 200,000 square feet of office space, 125,000 square feet of retail, a 3,500 capacity live event venue, town center, and parking space, which, if you know downtown, very much needed. Also expected to break ground this year and expected to be complete by 2026 is the 550 Shoma apartment complex. That's going to call for 223 residential units, a parking garage that can accommodate 425 vehicles, and just over 17,000 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor, which we know is the food hall that they're planning to bring. Now, they have a concept like this in the Miami area, which has seen raving reviews, and so this is going to be a really great addition to downtown Orlando. And there's really been a ton of different apartment complexes with the retail on bottom, kind of sprucing interest back into the downtown Orlando area. Another notable tower seeking to rise in downtown Orlando is this 33-story mixed-use tower at the corner of Church and Pine Street, which is set to include a luxury hotel, a convention center, and JW Marriott branded residences. And that's going to be a combination of 102 condominiums and 27 penthouse units. The rooftop garden is set to be the crazy feature on this one, but I think as a whole, downtown Orlando is just seeking to level up. They are adding a kind of a luxury feel to the area, and speaking of, we're also doing that over in the hospitality sector as well. Not to bore you with the details, but we've had a lot of planned and executed hotel additions over the past couple years and to come, one being the Tao Hotel, first of its kind, coming to the Dr. Phillips area. You got the W Hotel also doing a similar concept with restaurants. We got the Fairmont Hotel coming to the area. Don't forget about Nobu, that's also coming to Orlando as well, not to mention Everest Place and the just recently opened, which has gotten raving reviews, the Evermore Resort. And so whether it's a staycation or a restaurant date night, really just a lot coming to the area in regards to restaurant and retail and commercial. If you've come this far in the video, one, thank you. I really do mean that. Secondly, you may not be convinced. Maybe Orlando still sucks to you, and that's okay. Or maybe you love Orlando even more, and that's okay as well. But I really do love my area. I think it has tons of potential, tons of setbacks, and that's kind of what makes it great, is that everywhere is imperfect. You just got to find what works best for you. And so if by any chance you are considering making a move to the Orlando area, looking to buy a home here, I'd love to help. Contact info will be in description. Thanks.